Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our house. I can slide over a bit this way. Hi. How's the sound? I tried to balance it before this, but it's yeah, that involves being in that room and in this room at the same time. That's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Can you hear us clearly? Is everything good? Nice and audible. Good. It all sounds good.
Delightful.
Cool.
Very glad.
Beautiful. Hi. Whether you just watch Uncle Gareth on YouTube or not, we're about to watch a short film that we made years ago that we're finally just actually putting on the internet. There's been a lot of reasons why it's taken so long, most of them being personal failures on my part, but we are here and ready to kind of just actually have this thing out there. So, general plan for today, we're just going to watch it and do some commentary. It's probably going to be a little quiet, just so that we can be clearly heard over it.
If you guys have any questions or anything, that'd be
Yeah, and then we
happy
will
to do that.
Yeah, we'll talk about whatever parts of it you want to talk about, more or less. I'm sure we'll reflect on the experience quite a bit. It's something that Miles and I have done fairly often, anyways.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fun stories and stuff behind this film, which I think is true of any film that gets shot, honestly. But you know, these are ours, so they're important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna give you a little more room on this couch. I'm just gonna move the camera ever so slightly. I think that'll give you... And it's gonna make it a bit easier for you to... Yeah, there we go.
Look at that.
Look at that. And I still got room? Yeah, that still works. Awesome.
For the occasion, I broke out one of the actual suits that was worn in the film. You'll recognize this from the funeral home scenes.
Yeah.
So
we'll be auctioning it off after the viewing.
all proceeds going to charity, and I need this jacket. I don't own that many suit jackets. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess let's make sure this is working. Well, that is a promising sign that it's working. Awesome. I'm gonna get this started, and then I'm gonna monitor it for a bit to make sure that the sound balancing is all right. But let's get it going. I'm also wearing one of the outfits I wore on film or on set. So there we go.
This was one of the first things we shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we actually... Wait.
Very specifically the haircut and the nail painting stuff.
I think so?
Yeah. Like, I wasn't there for, the inserts of, Oh, no, I did do the thermometer as well. And it wasn't all shot in order. But generally, this scene was shot pretty early. I think we needed the morning light.
Yeah. Oh, I think what it was, too, was... I don't know why we shot this as early as we did. But yeah, we actually did shoot this really early on.
Yeah. I think we kind of wanted to get this out of the way because we weren't exactly sure how we were going to do it.
This is because it's because this is where we just needed the bodies. We didn't need Agape, and we didn't need any of the other supporting characters.
Yeah. Which was good.
Basically everything with him was shot in one day.
Yeah. And it was often a lot of my favorite stuff.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite jokes.
Yeah. Like, all of the throwaway jokes that he has are some of my favorites. Like that, I hope so. Like, the visual gag under the glasses. Oh, and this one. Just, nods confidently.
Yeah. Was this also the first day?
I think so, yeah.
Because again, it's just you and the bodies.
Yeah. Cut yourself some slack, bro. I don't have those glasses anymore. Or that jacket, which is a bummer because I loved that jacket.
What happened to the jacket?
I think I just was clearing out my... So the sleeves are a little short for me. And I just ended up getting rid of it when I was trying to downsize for a move.
That's fair.
Yeah. I like that vest, though. That vest is one of my favorite pieces.
God.
I love the little thing in the door.
We didn't know it was going to be there.
We show up to the house and then see it, and we're like, this is super cool. We can use this. We can use this in a shop. Probably. Is that her actual school uniform?
Yes.
Yeah. Which, this is good, because I wouldn't have known what a school uniform is supposed to look like. I have no concept.
All of her stuff was in one day as well. Granted, it's 2 scenes, but...
Yeah. And I call it how she has this, like, presumed, like, Hulk strength to hold me in place.
She's brute force personified.
Yeah, she is.
Amy Pog, yeah.
Yeah.
If we did a longer version of this at any point, probably what I would do is write more scenes with Abby.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Abby and Troutman stuff that got cut. There's actually a lot of stuff that got cut just to like get this under 15.
Yeah. I think my favorite part from a memorization standpoint is I probably make more sounds in this movie than I do words, and that's great. That's great on me in terms of memorizing lines.
I remember we one of the reasons we booked this house for shooting was because of this room, and we're like, we got to find a reason to use this room.
Yeah.
And yeah,
because it's just wild.
Because no other room in the house is red at all.
Yeah.
And there's just this one, like, extremely red room.
With books and empty bird cages?
Yeah. Nothing else in the room is like it. Glad that Critical's biggest role finally was made public.
Honestly, yes. Cannibal Abbey? Is that something that was cut?
No?
No? 10-4. He just improvised a bunch of takes of that, didn't he?
Yeah, I've got like 5 minutes of Critical just giving random descriptions. And we went with that one because it sounded like Big Boss.
It's good. Hey, Spiteful Toast.
Hey, Toast, how you doing?
Oh, that's a new scene we should add, is Cannibal Abbey. That's how we get rid of the bodies. Don't.
God. We're going to have to spend a long time talking about that shot in particular.
How many bottles did we lose to that scene?
Madeline got 4 or 5 bottles of syrup, and we broke all of them.
Several bottles of syrup were harmed in the making of this film.
Yeah. I still wonder if I could have come up with a funnier line there.
The get off that lawn?
Yeah.
It's fair.
It feels like a crutch joke, you know?
Well, I think he says it so emphatically that I do think it sells it, but...
Yeah.
I'm sorry about being late. I was with child.
Actually, that's my favorite line I have.
That's one of my favorite lines in the movie. Yeah. Answering machine beep gag is the most clever thing ever. Yeah, and that was done entirely in post. Julian thought of that, and I didn't know he was doing it. I also really like this.
This whole thing, they're delivering just incredible performances, and it's basically like, all right, Miles, have a panic attack.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
It was basically just like, what are the most overwhelming people we could get? God, Neil. He was almost Troutman.
Yep. Would have been a very different character in that case.
And that's the thing, like, him and Chuck were, like, they were playing the part perfectly, it was just playing the part in 2 different ways, and so it was like having to decide
which way to go.
How we wanted him to come off, yeah. But then we liked Neil so much, it was like, we have to keep him.
Yeah.
So we wrote that part so we could still have him.
The gag with the small urn actually was we were originally going to have a full-sized urn, same exact lines. And at the funeral home, the guy's like, we also have these if you would like. And he shows us the little urn sample or whatever. And we're like, oh no, yes, that please. Like, this is exactly what we need.
And then Angela literally got cast 2 days before because we had to... So Agape, the little girl, got a bit in a John Wick movie. I think John Wick 2. And so she suddenly wasn't available for the day that we had scheduled the funeral home, so we had to push it back a day, which made us lose like half the actors we were going to have in this scene. So then we had to like recast it real quick. And Angela's one of my friends that I went to school with, and she came in. She looked at every line that we had written, because there was another character that we just had to cut entirely from this because we couldn't find somebody to play him. And she's like, oh, can I just do that line? And so she got to keep both lines, and she's one of the most naturally funny people I know. Angela's fantastic. Also, that syrup, man.
This is one of my favorite bits, is you could look at this film as the story of one little girl trying to just have a single meal throughout a day. Like,
there was another pancake gag that we cut for time.
But we also had to be very emphatic that she could not eat the pancakes because they were not edible.
We talked over one of my favorite lines as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mom says Girl Scouts are tramps is one of the funniest lines.
Yeah. And her,
she's
her
delivered
response
it so well.
is perfect. It's just like, wow. This is my favorite thing to shoot in the whole movie.
Well, because you got to jump over a couch. When we were setting up for it, you were like, can I jump over this couch?
It's like,
yeah. Sure. Why not?
Like, I just want to see it in slow motion, and it's everything I always dreamed it would be, honestly.
Just like for one shot, Gareth becomes like an action hero instead of this mopey, like soft pushover.
Yeah. And because he finds the perfect nemesis, you know, and it's a deluded elderly neighborhood watchman. Competition really brings out the best in you. I love that reveal as well. I also like how it's positioned like by his hand, like it's gonna trick someone. Like it's like, oh no, he's clearly purchased these cookies and then took a nap. Like,
Mom gets mad. She says I need to think about the consequences of my actions. I think she's just mad because Dad left.
Didn't know that.
We got extremely lucky with finding Agape. Like, because we wanted to find somebody who looked young enough that they would believe that these dead bodies are just dolls, but was mature enough to be able to handle memorizing lines and, like, hitting marks and being able to act, basically.
yeah. Because we found, because it's just such a hard balance to find, you know? Because we had some people that were like, they could do the role, but I don't know if they can seem young enough.
Like, the Girl Scout was somebody else who was auditioning for it, and we're like, she just looks too old to, like... I would not believe that she would think these bodies are dolls. She looks too old to, like,
Yeah.
believe that. And it's funny because she's actually the same age as Agape.
Yeah.
Agape just looks so much younger.
Yeah. She's just small. Please. Please, no.
I'm here to help.
What are you doing to Laura?
Laura!
I will gut your ass.
Ma'am, I warn you, I am a force of justice.
I am a force... Just megaphone. I am a force of justice.
She's actually hitting him, too.
Yep.
Like...
The best part there, the great thing about Chuck was when he got the hat knocked off, he grabs it and shoves it to his head, which is perfect because then we can use any take we want and cut to it without needing to like worry about continuity there. It was a blessing that he did that.
Seriously? I don't joke.
I don't joke.
I mean, I wouldn't mind.
If I see the creepy Boy Scout near her again, I'm changing the Netflix password.
But I paid for it.
I think it's one of the only, like, pop reference jokes we make where I'm like, I wonder if this is going to date this film eventually.
Hasn't yet, but
Yeah.
someday probably.
Yeah.
But somehow still relevant.
He had a lot of bells, Mom.
Yeah, I think every tie you wear in this film is actually one of mine. Because that one's one of mine.
Gloves are not fur.
What are little girly dolls, Laura? Come on, boys. Ah!
Call it.
You were saying earlier, you like that the assumption is that she's like, so he has sex dolls in his house. Yeah, I'll let my daughter keep going over there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, like perfectly fine with that. Which is very much her vibe that she does give off as a mother. But
Amy is so good.
she is.
Yeah, there was a lot more stuff that we cut. This thing could have been 40 minutes if we had kept every scene that we wrote, and a lot of it was stuff fleshing out Abby and Troutman. There's another scene with the Girl Scout and stuff like that, and it was just like, if we're gonna get this under 15, we need to focus on just like every scene needs to actually be pushing the main plot forward, because there's no other way we're gonna get this done.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful time of year too.
Yeah, we shot this in October.
Hey, I'd like a word with you. As Chief Executive Officer of the local
That hat.
Justice, I'd be remiss if I didn't admit when I was wrong.
Like to give him like a swollen eye.
For harassing you.
There's a chip out of his glasses too that was really hard to do, and it's not noticeable.
Yeah, it's extremely small.
Maybe we'll have another one soon. Yeah. It's open. Anyway,
You can see it there.
sorry for having thought you were suspicious.
Don't worry about it, Mom. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, Madeline broke a chip out of one end. She made like one of the hinges loose, so it always sits like at a slant on his face instead of actually sitting properly. And then they made his eye swell up a bit, and just by actually just beating it, repetitively.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was it. That was
Yeah.
our film.
that was our film. God, the Troutman lines were so good. There's an entire character that was cut too. There was going to be his neighbor. She's going to be like like in her 30s, like widow, who had just like a huge crush on Troutman. And initially, that was the opening scene. Was Troutman talking to her about like Gareth's suspicious activity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of like puts him on the trail, and so but instead we
Yeah.
just did it with that very very early shot where I had to sprint up those stairs so many times, and they were farther away than they look in that shot.
Yes.
Just like by the end of his line, you need to be in this door ready to slam it. And I'm like, all right,
But the timing worked out.
yeah, got my
It's like-
cardio, you know.
You don't have time to help find a missing girl?
No.
Nope. What was your favorite outtake or moment that didn't make it into the film?
I have one. I have an answer to this. So
Is it going to be the...
Yep.
All right.
In the funeral home, in the scene where we give him the fake ashes and he hugs me, and I look at Agapi and she just finger guns. We were like, we're just gonna show the camera at you and you just do finger guns for us. And we weren't really very descriptive. We just kind of said do finger guns, and so we start rolling, and she just starts basically unloading an arsenal. She's like. Like, she had like a grenade launcher taped to her back, and like there's this invisible arsenal this small girl had. And like, we definitely can't use this, but I'm so glad I was just glad to be in the room when it happened. I don't.
It was very good. There was another pancake gag in the funeral home where... So, it was a funny thing. So, initially... So, a lot of the outtakes actually stayed in the film, is like the funny thing about this. When they're running to the funeral home and she's going down the stairs with her plate of pancakes and she churns and the fork falls, that wasn't planned, but we were like, that's funny, let's keep that.
Let's keep it.
And then we were going to the car. We need to talk about the syrup. When we were going to the car, what she was supposed to do was put the syrup up on the windshield. Like, she was supposed to put it up on the front of the car. So we told her that. So she does is we get up there and she tries to put it on top of the the passenger side window, which is not gonna support a bottle of syrup, and it just falls and breaks, and we're like, it's very funny.
Let's try it again.
Let's try it again. And she keeps. At one point, she tries to put it on top of the car, and it just falls again.
Yeah.
And she ends up breaking every bottle of syrup we have in those cuts or in those takes. And we're like, the part where she tries to put it on the window is just extremely funny.
Yeah.
And just seems like a thing a small girl would do. It's just like, I'll just put it on here.
It's like,
for
let's
safekeeping.
just get a shot of us backing over the syrup on the way back. So like
well, that was great because that was the thing. It's like cool. Now we have a very clear transition to show that they've gone back from the funeral home to the house. We just have them drive over the syrup bottle that just got dropped in the driveway.
Yeah.
And that's a very funny cut, I think, and it was not planned. Man, what other outtakes were there? Another thing is we really didn't have not that many mistakes happened when we were shooting it. Like it was very well planned out, and all the actors were like really on top of knowing their lines. I don't think we never had a case where we had to redo it because an actor forgot a line.
Yeah.
Like now I think about it, like there was never a point where like anybody forgot what they were supposed to say.
And I think a lot of that is one, just an incredible cast, and two, like a lot of people had. It was like short bursts of dialogue. They would have like one scene they needed to memorize, you know. And then there was me who had scenes throughout the whole movie, but not that many lines. I would say like a couple lines like here and there and sounds. Like I was always able to get my stuff memorized outside of the therapist scene. Was a little bit more talking for me. Yeah. But then so everything was usually loaded for a character into one spot mostly.
Yeah. I think the person with the hardest scene in terms of having the lines was Amy. Just because like both of her scenes are very much like she's like rapid fire talking over people. Because that was like the whole point, was that we wanted to do something very fast paced, and the whole thing was everybody in the film is supposed to be somebody that just exhausts and like Gareth and like wears him down. So like everybody else had to be very forceful, very loud, very direct. Outside of Laura, I guess.
Yeah.
Will asked earlier if the soft bloomy look was planned from the beginning. And yeah, a lot of that's just because we shot on an Alexa. We were trying to talk about like what kind of vibe we wanted it to have, and we aesthetically, like what our decision was, the subject matter, the whole like he's got dead bodies thing, could very easily lean into just being like very creepy and uncomfortable, and so our plan was basically to play against that feeling the entire time. So the dialogue and character choices were all meant to be like very up. We tried to make it fairly warm, fairly warm and soft. We didn't want to give it like the same vibes that you would shoot like a horror film with, because there like everything's like super sharp. You want everything to be crisp. You want like kind of like the gross level of detail. And music, we went with like what I told Amy when I went to her about it was I said it was a thing where it's like I want it to be like hot jazz for like as much of it as possible. Like we wanted to we wanted to contrast with the dead bodies thing as much as possible the entire time, because we felt like that would make the bodies the funniest, and also we didn't want people to think about it too much.
Yeah.
Because if people just kept being freaked out the whole time, that wouldn't play well.
Yeah, and like it's one thing that I think I wasn't really a part of any of those discussions because that's way above my pay grade. I wasn't paid, but I think it was a good choice just because like every time I try and describe the film to people, it hits me like how odd the premise is.
Yeah.
But and this is part of it's just because I'm so used to it. But when I'm watching it, that doesn't really come up. You know, like it doesn't really pop into my head like just how bizarre it is. And I feel like some of that is the tone. Like Gareth obviously knows that it's not great, which is why he's hiding it from people. But at the same time, the rest of the film like almost makes it feel like it's fine. Like it's a little weird secret and not something that's like actually
A crime?
a crime.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly normal dead bodies. I spent the 15 minutes deeply
Yeah.
afraid that the bodies would reanimate, as one has around the home. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very different film, but
Yeah. But so that's the. Yes, man. That's also why what we wanted was we wanted to feel. We tried to lean really hard into like the old like screwball comedies. In terms of like how it was written. Some Like It Hot is like one of my favorite movies, and I think that's kind of what I was trying to go for, was having like a some Like It Hot, His Girl Friday, kind of speed to a lot of the dialogue. I wanted things to just keep moving quickly. One, so that we could get through everything in time, but two, because I wanted Gareth to be overwhelmed. So anytime there's another character on screen, there's never a lot of time to like carefully consider what he wants to say. Like when you step into the funeral home, Sally's like not happy that we're doing a thing that doesn't involve her today. How are the dead body actors doing these days? Still dead or have circumstances changed? I don't know how John Mark is doing. I haven't seen him since we left Landmark.
yeah.
John
Hopefully
Mark.
well.
John Mark was the second person cast in the movie after Miles. He was cast as a dead body. He was somebody that Miles and I worked with at a restaurant, and he's a dancer, so he has like great control of his body, and he also has kind of a funny face to look at sometimes with the big bushy beard and everything.
Yeah.
And so we thought he'd be perfect for one of the dead bodies. And he came in, we shot him out in one day. We shot him and Jack Ricardo Miller. We shot both of them out in one day. And then Nancy, because we had to do the makeup scene, so she had to be there for the beginning of the first day that we had with Agape so that we could shoot the makeup scene. But she was done halfway into the second day.
And the scene where I shove her off of a chair in slow motion.
Because that's what it was. That's what it was. We shot all the body stuff the first day. So the opening, the ending, the therapist scene, all of like everything we could do with the bodies and you, we did the first day. Oh wait, but then the part when Agape walks in on, I think we did get Agape there like halfway through the first day or something.
It's all a blur for me.
Yeah.
The wildest thing for me is it feels like it wasn't literally just mostly a single weekend of my life. You know?
It
Like-
was 5 days. We shot like Thursday through Sunday or something like that, or like Friday through Monday. Miles, your couch vault was beautiful. Did you beef it super hard on any of the takes? Oh.
No, got in one. I don't remember. I think we might have done more than one take, but
Oh, there was one injury. There was one time where somebody got like so the beginning with the whip pan from the pancake to you catching it, it wasn't properly communicated or something. I'm not entirely sure what happened. The camera got whipped into the first AC's face on one of those takes. Mark got just whacked in the face with the lens and the I think the barn doors, which hurt. He
not
didn't-
ideal.
Yeah, he didn't get like he didn't bleed or anything, but it definitely stung because that was a hard whip.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was not. There was. We never hurt anybody else after that though.
No.
I'm pretty sure. Uncle Gareth is produced during the iconic zombie boom of like early 2010s. Yeah, we didn't want to. That's not the vibe we were going for. We didn't want it to be a horror film. We wanted it to be.
Or like, yeah, because there was that. There have been a lot of like zombie comedies and like zombie romantic comedies and stuff like that. And we didn't want to be that.
Yeah.
It's just it's a comedy with corpses. It's not a zombie movie. You know?
Yeah, because also like largely the whole thing is about dealing with kind of like guilt And so one of the easiest ways to like deal with emotional concepts, especially things that are kind of hard to like put into words, because you don't want to just like say everything literally, because then it feels hammy, is just to go with one of the most extreme versions of it you can on film and play it for laughs. So that's like the whole dead bodies thing. Is like, yeah, no, that's an incredibly incriminating, guilty thing to have around. And so having that be like a representation of like somebody who is so self-loathing that they just, the only people they feel like they won't disappoint are dead bodies. I think somebody heard us talking about corpses, and
Entirely possible and reasonable.
they're casting a spy.
I
Message
always-
received. What do you mean?
Oh, he made
we're
a zombie movie.
Not that. Right, he made a zombie movie. Yeah, we didn't want to do a thing about who wants to make a zombie movie starring Neil Samuels.
Yeah.
Dude, Neil was great though. What other things do we want to talk about? Some other stuff.
Final cut of that zombie movie, by the way. Yeah, Tyler. Get him, drag him.
Isn't the final cut a thing? Doesn't it exist?
Possible.
They were gonna do some kind of like virtual release experience thing, weren't they?
I remember that existing. We're not super involved in that,
Yeah.
but we're familiar with it. We're aware of it. You know.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the final cut exists. I don't think it's still in editing. You alright?
I just don't want to make a Snyder Cut joke because I don't have a good format for it, but my brain's wasting time trying to think of a Snyder Cut joke.
Somebody already did that.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody already said release the Chris London cut.
How's Elusive Boss Man doing these days?
No idea. Haven't heard from him in
Yeah.
very long time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. Let's go back to Gareth.
Great. I don't know. Do we have any more specific questions? I thought I had something I wanted to say earlier, but I forgot because
Were you guys able to like actually hear the movie at all when you were watching it there? How was the audio balance? You could clearly hear us okay. But was it still possible to hear the movie as in music? Let's see. Some of my favorite lines. Yeah, I love the Mom Says Girl Scouts are tramps line. She delivers it perfectly.
yeah, and
the reaction is really good.
Chewy.
Oh yeah, the hamster joke.
Yeah,
That's it. That one was fun. The quality was super low for some reason. Pretty muffled but audible. That's unfortunate. Well, the good news is it's up on YouTube and Vimeo where it can be watched in full quality.
yeah.
I wonder what was causing that. Oh well.
Was that a reward from the festival?
What? The
That-
poster?
No, that B.
The bee? Oh yeah. So the funny thing about Gareth, so we did our film festival run in 2019, going into 2020, but then the pandemic happened and whoops.
Yeah. Bye.
We got. We didn't get into. It's a weird thing where we didn't get into that many festivals, but every festival we got into, we did well in.
Yeah. This thing is an absolute unit.
So that's from us winning the Red Wasp Film Festival in Texas.
Yeah.
They a local sculptor, metalworker,
Yeah.
made an entire. You could kill a man with that.
You
and
could.
and we have.
And we have.
That's a weapon. Nice. Yeah.
But not a very good weapon.
Probably just impressive. The movie shot in a soft way. Yeah, no, I think he was talking about the audio quality with that. Yeah, so we got that. I don't know where to put it. My favorite thing was we won Best Screenplay at the Klatskanai Film Festival in Oregon. And we got this. So it was very funny. And
It's good. It makes me feel like I participated in a karate championship when I was in third grade. But it's
my favorite thing was they had an extra, and Amy was there because she lives in Portland, so she came up for the festival, and they and she was like, "Oh, do I get one?" And they're like, "Well, we have an extra," so she also has one.
Perfect. It's
Um,
one for the shelf.
yeah. And then what do we get? We got the Audience Choice Award at wow, what was that one called? It was the Underexposed Film Festival in York County, down in South Carolina. Got the audience choice there. And yeah, I don't know. It was a weird thing. Like, we definitely, the festival circuit is weird, right? Like, there's so many factors to like how the whole thing works that often have very little to do with how good the film is. Like, a lot of it is they're putting together a program, and so you try to get movies that are similar, and you put them in like a block together. And so I think that might be one of the things that hurt us was, I don't know. I think a lot of short festivals probably looked at it and they're like, I have no idea what program to put this with.
Yeah.
Might have been one of the problems. But yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with it though.
Me too. And I am bummed we couldn't go to more festivals, but mostly just from the perspective of like the one festival like me and you did like travel to was just a lot of fun.
It was. That was a really good trip. It was a good time. I need to make that travel vlog video thing.
Oh yeah, we shot a lot of footage for that. A lot of music.
A lot of footage, a lot of music. I just need to actually put it together. It was an overwhelming amount of footage was the problem.
Understandable.
Yeah, I got so much stuff that it was just like, what do I do with this? I cut down a lot of it, but yeah.
Oh, Romero.
Daromero. Are you able
Romero.
to put your leg behind your head?
No.
Yeah, not without removing it.
Okay, that's all she's got.
I feel like he was just trying to get a look at our feet, so I'm glad you had your
My boots.
cowboy boots on. Yeah.
Never leave home without them.
Good. Slackers? Man.
I don't know who made this, but it says McGee, so I assume that's his name. Whoever made it signed it McGee.
From Super Mega?
Possible.
Huh. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
It's actually true, though? What's actually true, though? Oh, the always have your cowboy boots? That thing? Fuck yeah, McGee! Let's go!
Yeah, let's go!
I don't know, he's some local metal worker in Bryant, Texas, I think is where it was. I wish we could have gone to that one, but also, I think it was the middle of the summer, and it was in Texas. So, I'm actually fine with us not having gone to that one.
Yeah.
When are you starting production on your Western movie as a Miles vehicle? He's playing a cowboy. This is his calling. In the feature that I want to make, he'll be playing a cowboy.
I'm tired during the day.
That's the line.
Grandpa the kid.
That's the line. No, yeah, it's I showed you that, right?
Yes.
Like that script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm into it.
We just need to actually be able to make. We just need to actually be able to make a feature, which.
Yeah.
I wanted to start making it last summer, and then the pandemic hit, and it was like I can't fly a bunch of people out to Washington right now.
Yeah.
So.
But I've never been to Washington, so it'd be lovely to go.
You're not missing much.
That's fair and reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty hungry for outdoors these days, so if they have some of that,
They have some of that upstate.
that's fair.
We don't like we could just take a train for a little bit. We can go to the Appalachians.
The Apalachios.
Where are the Adirondacks at?
I don't know.
I hear
no
that
one
name
was
a
able
lot.
to make a movie during the pandemic. You've got similar pull. Yeah.
I've got all the resources of Christopher Nolan. I'm a weeaboo for the Pacific Northwest.
I don't know what that
A
means.
Northwestaboo. You don't know what a weeaboo is?
I know, yes, but I didn't know what it would mean in the context of the Pacific Northwest.
Probably flannel, maple, meth? Yeah. Something like that. go so far as to say you made a better movie than Tenet. Only
Appreciate
eats
it.
maple bars. I wish. And salmon. Salmon's another thing. I just really like salmon.
Same.
Yeah, that's fair.
Same.
Yeah.
Now I'm just thinking about trying to make a Western short, but that's so difficult.
I remember-
Like, there's an inherent budget required in trying to make a Western of any size. Like, no matter how much you can save on equipment and people, like, and everything, like, the fact that you need to shoot it somewhere that will look like a Western makes it inherently difficult.
We can go to Utah. Just shoot it in the winter, so we don't. Well, they get a lot of snow. Actually, a Western set during the winter would be interesting.
You get it sometimes. Recently, the biggest recent example I could think of is The Hateful Eight. All takes place during a snowstorm, and it is super interesting. But yeah, and I think it is a lot of it is like buildings are hard. So you either like set it out on the road like a road trip film on horseback, and don't have many buildings, or you need to somehow find or create the illusion of old-timey buildings, that's not a cheap set piece to make, even if you cut all the costs possible.
You could just go to one of those ghost towns.
It is true.
I wonder, you know those ghost towns where they're doing reenactments all the time?
Yeah.
Is that like a run fair situation where they only do it for like set periods of time, or like how do they do they get enough people to just be able to stay open?
I would assume it's the former.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume they have like meetups, like similar to LARP meetups, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure. I've only spent very, very little time looking into like cowboy camp. I'd go to cowboy camp if I found a good one.
Nice. Good dab.
Yeah, thanks.
Only movie I can think of set around my hometown is Jaws, which is kind of a big one. I mean, the go-to for me is Twilight.
Yep.
Yeah. That's like the movie. Everybody's like, oh, it's Washington. They shot it. They shot the school stuff like less than an hour away from where I grew up.
Fun.
Yeah. Like they didn't really shoot in Forks very much, even though that's like the town where it's set.
Yeah.
They shot in Klatskanai quite actually. Yeah, the same festival or the same town that had the film festival where we got the plastic trophies.
Nice.
There's Westerns too. You could do the Northwest. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Do like a Western, but you just set it in like redwood forests.
That'd be fun. Do like Gold Rush kind of thing.
Yeah.
Prospecting.
Well, because then it's also like you can do like the story beats and tone and everything of a Western without having all the aesthetics of a Western, right?
You can. I mean, yeah, like Mandalorian did it. I mean, Westerns themselves are oftentimes story beat retellings of samurai films with a different aesthetic.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I do think also, like, I do love the idea of, like, I don't need to know where a Western is set, because one of the best parts about the Sergio Leone Westerns, which are my favorite, is that the America that they're set in seems so, like vast and also, like, oddly connected, where things that they'll reference as if they're close to each other are super far away, or, like, it's like the world itself doesn't have a handle on its own geography, and it gives it kind of a surrealness to it, especially in like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where it's happening during the Civil War. So I feel like that's fine. Like, you don't need to know where it's set. I think that can help add to the feel. But
Yeah. We got a compliment on our beards.
oh
So hey, welcome to the stream, Agramoth. Thank you for the beard compliment.
yeah,
Austerns are Russian Westerns and they rule. I gotta look that up actually.
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Dude, yeah, actually, like a Western, like across Siberia would be fascinating. Huh. However, this wasn't a Western.
It wasn't. This was a comedy about corpses.
This was, I think, ultimately like one of the things I'm like happiest with is what we got out of it for how little money we had for it.
Yeah.
And some of that was Oren was able to get us a very good deal on equipment, which was massive. Oren was the DP. I think he might be more responsible for the movie being successful than I was, if we're being honest. Like, he came in...
It's okay. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Something spooked that pup.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Looking forward to your Western movie. The Western section in the feature whenever I get to make it. What were I talking about? What were I talking about? What was I talking about?
What were we talking about? What was we talking about?
Oh, Oren. Yeah,
Yes.
he came in with ton of experience. He's just like a very, very... Everything about him is like perfect, genuinely. He was somebody I auditioned for like years before for one of the films he was making when he was at NYU. And we stayed in touch since then, and when we were putting together a plan to make this, because we didn't think it was going to be... When we started making the movie, we did not expect it was going to ever end up looking like that. We thought it was going to be a thing that we just cheaply did for like what we could, and it would be something just to say that we made something and have something for reels and stuff. Can we just keep talking about Westerns? No. So I put out like a Facebook post just saying like, hey, looking for DPs for this thing. Oren was interested, sent him the script. He was excited about it. We met, and just kind of took off from there. And he's kind of single-handedly responsible for a lot of the equipment decisions. He got us like a very good camera at a lower rate. It was very solid stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, like working with Oren was a delight.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, he made this film look the way it does, and that's incredible to me. I don't know, I couldn't do it to save my life, and being around someone who can, it looks like magic.
He was intensely professional. He was super easy to work with. Like, everything about him. Like, that guy's going to be massive at some point. He's going to be doing features that are winning Oscars, like, at some point. He's massive. Favorite Western? I like the new True Grit quite a bit.
It was nice. I liked it a lot.
I feel like Logan's cheating.
Logan's good though.
Yeah, but it's
man.
cheating.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, the new True Grit was pretty good. Turned out really well. Glad he got the opportunity. Yeah, and now it's about moving on and making something else. Just like with this, like we had to actually get this out there. I kept wanting to like get some big event put together to launch it, and then I realized like 3 months had gone by since we got the new cut, and it was like we just need to release it. We just need to have it out there so we can focus on doing the next thing. With the pandemic like easing up, we're all fully vaccinated now. Like, just need to start making things. I feel like Oren could shoot a good Western. He can shoot a good anything. He's done... If you look at his reel and stuff, I'm pretty sure he's got some shots in there that are from a Western he did. He's done everything at this point, I'm pretty sure. It's just like,
My brother.
Yeah, everybody's taking the piss out of me. Could he shoot a good man looking straight into his eyes? Well, I've lost control of this stream, looks like.
Bold of you to assume you ever controlled it.
That's good. Well, we've been going about an hour. I guess we don't need to keep going much more. Does anybody have any other questions related to the film?
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's any other jokes or funny stories or anything that...
I don't know. It's unfortunately been so long since we filmed it now. It feels like forever.
Rest in peace to that funeral home.
Yeah.
Not being around anymore.
Ironic.
Apparently, like, sometime in, like, the 2 years after we shot it, it closed down.
Yeah, we found that out because Tyler was looking into possibly filming there, yeah? And that's how we found out?
They needed a funeral home for the thing they were making, and we gave them the address and the contact info. And they looked for it, and they're like, yeah, that's closed. It's like, how did a funeral home on Staten Island go out of business? Like, yeah. Just happy the movie got released. Now I can tell my parents that I'm in the credits of an award-winning film.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's technically an award-winning film.
Several rewards. Talking's hard, y'all.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know. It's wild to me that like we actually got to make that it came out the way it did, and we got to work with the actors we did. And like I look at it and I'm like, that could have been better, and they could have shot that differently. Should have run that different. But like all things considered, when you put it together, like compared to a lot of people's like first films, that could have been a lot worse.
I'm really happy with it. I'm very proud
Yeah.
to have been in it, and like it was a great experience.
We got so lucky with the cast.
Yeah.
You know, with some of it, like, and with a lot of it too, it was like after Amy read, it was like I couldn't imagine it being anybody other than Amy.
Yeah.
Like, we had a bunch of people read for it, and none of it was really like standing out. And then Amy read, and it was like, no, that's perfect. Same thing with Agapi. When Agapi left the room, we've got that on recordings. I've got all the footage from the auditions. And when Agapi left the room after her audition, you like got up and started like pacing.
No, that was Amy.
That was Amy.
That was Amy. We'd been reading for Abby all day, and we had a couple, and like the minute Amy walked into the room, I hopped out of my chair and I was just like, "Did you guys see that?" Yeah. Like at that moment, I knew I was largely just there to read with whoever's reading with me, but like I knew that was it, you know.
Yeah. She was really good. I think she's in LA now.
Makes sense. Every now and then I'll see like little things that she's done, little like
she does everything.
And
she produces
very
stuff.
good.
She writes and directs. The last thing I knew, she was working on an Adam Sandler film. Like she was doing a bunch of like behind camera work for it, and then she wound up. They wound up going like, "Hey, you want to like come do a scene?" And then she wound up doing like a short scene in it. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was the Sandy movie. I think she's in.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of his Netflix movies.
I haven't seen it, but I would watch it just to find that scene.
Her career's definitely growing. Yeah, no, she's working her ass off. Like she's one of the most hardworking people I've met, I think. And it was one of those situations where I got lucky that for the 4 main characters that this revolves around, we got somebody in each of those spots that I felt like actually added to the role. Like didn't just like show up and say the lines, didn't just like fit how the character was supposed to look, but like actively added things to it. After we had Amy and Agapi and Chuck cast, like I was able to then go into the script and go like, because of the qualities that these people are bringing, we can add this bit, and we added bits on set all the time because we had them. And
my favorite last second bit that was added for me was I looked through the door thing and saw that it was Amy, and I needed to do something as a reaction, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I did something, I don't even remember what it was, and Chris is like, what about something like just like duh! And I'm like yeah, and I did that. Like that wasn't in the script or anything. Chris is like, they're like, yeah, I'll do that, and I did it. It's one of my favorite parts of the stuff that I do. I'm like, yes, I feel that.
Yeah, and it's just like, I also really like how you just sound like Kermit the first time you talk to her. You're like, oh hi Abby. But yeah, all the characters are fun and well acted. Yeah, no, we got super lucky with the cast. Everybody in the funeral home like brought it. Ingrid, the mom that starts it off, that's up there with Chelsea, was somebody that Chuck knew, that he recommended. He was just like, okay, I've acted with her before, and looking at the script, like I feel like she could be good for this. I was like, awesome, because like we read people for Troutman, read people for Troutman, Abby, and Laura, but everybody else we just cast either by knowing them or by seeing their work and being like, hey, I feel like you can do this.
Yeah. Because
outside of those 4, when is Kickstarter for the feature starting? I've been asked that a couple times, like about if we're gonna do like a feature version of this. I don't know if I have enough ideas to make it worth a whole feature. That's like the weird thing, is like there's a lot of stuff that got cut, but I don't know if there's enough to actually like fill the whole movie without it like grossly overstaying its welcome.
When I first read his question, I thought he was talking about the other feature you're trying to do, Sparks.
Oh, Kickstarter for the feature starting? I don't know if we're going to kickstart Sparks.
That's fair as well.
So here's the thing with doing the Kickstarter for this. We didn't do a Kickstarter until we'd shot the movie for this one. Well, we tried doing a Kickstarter before, and like getting traction on it was difficult. But once we had already shot it, we could then show people like, hey, this thing's definitely getting made, and also look at the footage we got.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a good movie. We just need the money to pay for the editing and the color correction and the sound design and the music.
Yeah.
Like, we just need the money to finish post. And so Ben cut together that trailer for us, which was nice of him. We were just like, yeah, we're gonna kickstart for it, and he's like, okay, cool. He started editing before we actually had the Kickstarter done, which Ben was great. Ben got these cuts together so fast, and he was so good. Oh, that answering machine bit was done. I didn't even know what was happening until I saw a cut, because it was something he like told. I can't remember what it was. We needed on set. I was reading it out for you to like get the timing down.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, we're gonna have Chelsea record the audio for this later. So we recorded it and we sent it to Julian, who was doing the sound design, and Julian timed the message and everything so that it could beep like when you were about to say, like when you were starting to say fuck. It was one of the funniest bits.
Yep.
And also like I didn't know like that. Oh, Mom, the pancakes! Like you're like that thing.
Yep.
Completely unscripted, not actually there, because I didn't even think about like what it would. Because when I was writing it, I didn't even think like, oh yeah, there's some kind of message that plays for people before they leave a message.
Yeah.
And so when he had you in for your ADR session, he had you record that, and I had no idea it was a thing that was happening until like I saw a cut with the sound design in it, and I was like, yeah, no, that's perfect. Would have been lovely to see the Uncle Gareth feature. I think the concept more than has the legs, but having to shoot it with a different kid and stuff would be a bummer. We'll say that the Thunder Road short managed to turn into Thunder Road's feature. Anything is possible. That's fair. I guess the thing I'm worried about is like the whole thing hinges on nobody ever finding out, right? And I feel like I don't know. I guess the thing is, would we spend more time with Gareth out in the world as opposed to at home? Would we? Like, where would we put the focus? Because we're talking about going from 15 minutes to like at least an hour 15.
Yeah.
Like what? With 5 times the length of this movie, what do we fill that with? What's interesting to focus on? More about Troutman? So here's the thing. There's a lot of backstory behind this that is really only ever subtly implied, if anything, in the movie because it had to be cut for time, and we were like, we don't need this scene. We should trim it down and all that. Like Troutman's whole thing is he joined the military for the Vietnam War, but then it ended before he actually got to go over there. So like he was like on the way over, and then it ended, so they just sent him back. But he still just like wanted to tell all these stories about and everything, like because he wanted to like, because it was the whole thing where people are like referring to him as like a veteran and like a hero and stuff like that. And he's like, I didn't really do anything, but like wounded pride and all that jazz. Like Troutman had a lot of backstory.
So I don't think we could get Charlie for more voiceover if we did a feature.
I think the idea that it's a movie about guilt gets lost in how quickly the backstory gets brushed over. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like that's so much of what put Gareth where he is like in background details and in like really subtly, like just kind of like in lines that are kind of it's like a detail that's kind of like thrown away in some lines. So like the information is there in a lot of the stuff that Abby says, but like the point of the scene isn't that Abby is like genuinely trying to. So Abby's like not good at being vulnerable is like the main thing, and so when she tries to talk to him about it, it still comes off as this like uber aggressive thing. And also, he's trying to get away to get back into the house, so, they don't actually really connect on it.
Originally, the Girl Scout was actually like an active ploy that Troutman had set up, right? We actually
filmed that scene.
Which I've never seen. I haven't seen that footage. But yeah, so they were like, you had them like talking beforehand, trying to like and setting it up. Whereas like now it reads as it could have been that, or it could also have been him seeing the Girl Scout going and he's using it as an opportunity. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. We're looking at it and it's like, do we need to know why Troutman was in the yard at that time? Like, for the plot of the movie? And it was a no, so it's like, you know, we saved a minute by cutting that scene.
Yeah.
And it was a thing where it's like, this doesn't have Gareth or Laura in it. Like, it's like background information that wasn't necessary for the actual film. So that's the only actual scene that we filmed that got cut. We also cut about 30 seconds of the scene where Laura finds the bodies. There's a conversation there, but Ben realized that he could cut ahead in the scene and it wouldn't be noticeable, and so he did, and that got us under 15. Hope Critical gives your film a shout out. I don't like have contact with him anymore. Like when we did this, it was before he was as big as he is now, like as a personality. Like, you know, he was always like a fairly big YouTuber, but what happened was, serendipitously, at that time that we were making this, I think he was like getting close to done with college, and he was trying to figure out like what he wanted to do. He still hadn't like shown his face by this point, and he was saying that he was kind of interested in trying out some voice acting stuff. So I reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, we need voiceover for this film I'm doing. Like, do you want to do this?" And he said, "Yeah." So we did that. Since then, you know, he's doing the podcast and all this other live action stuff, streaming all the time. Like he's a much busier guy now than back when we made this. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's completely forgotten about this. Can't wait for Trout and Uncle Gareth story. All I'm asking for is that Sparks is in the UGCU.
Uncle Gareth.
Miles drinking invisible juice. Oh, that's right. Your bottle got green screened out.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
I didn't realize that.
Alright, I gotta see.
It's very good.
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Wow. Wow. It's an invisibility potion. Oh man. That's wild.
I would love if as you drinked it, like your stomach starts like disappearing.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
God,
You can do that in
I
post.
could really use that. Yeah. What else were we thinking? Yeah. I'll try to get a hold of him. I'll say like, "Hey, if you remember this thing you did a long time ago, it's out now if you want to see like the final product." I sent him the final cut when we'd finished editing it. Never got a response. So, I'm assuming either he saw it and didn't care, or he just didn't see it because he's got a ton of stuff going on.
Because he owns a warehouse that he does motorized gaming chair races around.
Yep, that's something he does now. The dude.
God, I see the space he has, and I'm like, oh man, I would do horrible things to be able to have a space like this to create stuff in. Like the VR videos I would shoot if I had an empty warehouse.
Well, he's got it, and he's using it to race makeshift vehicles.
Yeah. Yep.
Which isn't like a terrible use of the space.
No.
But yeah.
I'd just be doing the exact same thing in VR. Could you imagine if I was... So I'm using a wireless headset like the Quest. I'm on an actual physical vehicle, driving around completely blind in a virtual space. Oh my god, it's such a bad idea, and I want to do it desperately.
It's basically that Mario Kart Tour thing.
Yeah,
it's just you're using a person instead of a plastic Luigi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your actual body's there. Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap it up?
Not really. I think we covered most of it. If people don't have any other questions,
No.
you know.
If you want to see the movie in better quality, it is on my YouTube channel as well as Vimeo. In case you want it in that real good quality, you can just look for Uncle Gareth on Vimeo, and hopefully you can find it easily. I don't know if there's a bunch of similarly named things on Vimeo or not. I don't know. I'm happy with the thing we made.
Me too.
I want to make more.
Same.
That's why I'm like releasing this. Is just like I just need to get this thing fully done and off my chest so that we can just start making something else without going like, we gotta wait to make something until we do Gareth, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you have any other questions, this is the time.
Now is the time.
As far as future plans, like, we want to make a feature. We definitely, like, that's a huge thing we want to do.
I want to make
maybe more shorts. I don't have any ideas for shorts that I'm, like, super excited about is the thing.
Help me make Captain and Space Turtle.
I forgot about that.
I want to do stupid shit with green screens, y'all. And like, there's apparently a market for it because Joel exists.
Yeah.
Like
Joel Sex Haver. A feature western. The Before the Storm review counts as a short, right? That's fair. God, I got a lot of YouTube videos I need to finish. My problem is that I keep increasing the scale of stuff I want to do so much that it just becomes so much to do as one person.
That's why you gotta.
And then also, like, my job now is actually, like, creating stuff. So, like, I'm doing a bunch of editing and streaming over there. And then it's like, alright, let's do a bunch of editing and streaming in
home.
your free time. I also have much less free time than I've ever had before.
That's why you
It's
gotta
just
scale back your ideas to a person in front of a green screen with pixel art backgrounds. You know?
That's a good idea. Definitely have shorts in mind. In order to make a Final Fantasy 15 review, you'll have to go on a road trip with your friends as a framing device. Will, you're joking.
Wait.
Have I not told you about this yet?
No.
I'll talk to you about it after this. Yeah. Yeah, scope management definitely seems to be a common issue in the creative industry. For sure. For sure.
Even sometimes in $1 million companies.
Yes. Road trip to Pacific Northwest to get a maple bar? That would actually be great. Oh, that'd be really cool, actually. Here's the thing. So I've done a road trip from the Pacific Northwest to Brooklyn. That's how I moved here. We road tripped for 2 weeks across the entire United States.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I drove from Minnesota to North Carolina, but that was a couple days.
Yeah. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like halfway across the states. Maybe a third? No, Minnesota's...
We're about smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, I think you're on like the... doesn't matter. Road trip for a Pringles joke. Film a review along the way. People are blasting my ideas. Alright, let's... I feel like it's about time we wrap this. Thank you for coming to this and sharing this this day with us. Also, if you liked the music in the film, I like the music in the film. Amy Waters has been having a rough time lately. She's her and her partner just found out their kid's been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and taking care of a kid with Crohn's is very exhausting and time consuming, and so they've both been having to skip a lot of work. So if anybody has the means, if you can go to Amy Waters' Twitter, she's got Venmo listed there. If you have any way to help her out, that'd be great. Just as they're trying to kind of get through this this rough time. Like, on top of just being a great musician, she's just a very, very good person. They're one of my favorite people I've ever gotten to like work with, and they deserve a lot more work. Part of the reason why I wanted to release this and just get it out was I want her to be able to get that exposure, so that people who are making things might want to hire her to score their films. She's very good. AMIE Waters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for coming, guys, and this is fun. I've been stuck on a single dog line in Final Fantasy 14 for the last hour, so I'm getting back to that. Is there a download for the Gareth soundtrack? Something I can buy to support that way? You know what? I'll let her know. I'll talk to her and see if that's a thing. I know she's had 3 of the tracks she did for it on her SoundCloud. But I'll let her know and say, like, hey, if she wants to put these out that way, I'll say she can, for sure, because she deserves that support. All right, thank you for coming, guys. And here's for the next one. I want to be streaming more too. There's so much stuff I want to do. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.